Yo, what up? It's your boy Excalibur Zero, the music producer you can grow with, and today I want to tell you 3 tips you need to know before sending your music to television, especially if you're a producer, but this also goes to artists as well. Definitely have this knowledge before submitting your music because there is certain standards that these companies have, and if you're not abiding by these standards, most of the time they're just going to write you off. So I definitely recommend checking out this video and subscribing and liking if you like more content like this, because I am trying to share as much info that I have in the game that I can to help the new generation get to where they want to be with this music and hopefully expand more horizons for musicians. So tip number 1, make sure you have music that has stings. And what a sting is basically when you're watching a television show, mostly on reality television, you're gonna notice when the scene ends, there's a little sting out or a little crash or a little boom that hits at the end of the scene that concludes the track. So make sure you have that at the end of your track. It could be one note of a couple different instruments that you use in that track. If you're an artist, make sure you're licensing out tracks that have that. I actually do have tracks like that on my website that you can find. Just hit me up directly and I'll send you that link. But make sure that your tracks have those sting outs because it's very important, and most of the time if you don't have the sting out at the end of the track, not every time would they use it. So definitely recommend that. Another thing that I recommend is making sure you're set up with BMI or ASCAP. Have a PRO, know your PRO number, and not only have it for your writers, but also make one for your publishing account. There is some instances that you work with certain libraries that you are surrendering your publishing, but that's not the case for every library. I know it makes a difference depending on which one you work for. So definitely have ASCAP or BMI set up so you can get that money. The third thing that I want to share is to make sure that you own all of the rights to the song and there's no samples that you're using that aren't cleared and that are not royalty free. Most of the time you're going to be signing a deal off and you're going to be given that track. When you sign with the library, any track that you send to them, they own. That is the case. But what people misbelieve is that any track that they've already created that promote or send out on their own without submitting to the actual library, that library owns, and that's not the case. Usually you do own it. It depends on what tracks you send the actual library and they'll have exclusive access to those tracks. So I definitely recommend having no samples in your tracks because you need to own the full rights to it. And if you do have samples, make sure they're cleared. If you are using stuff like Splice that are royalty free, I definitely recommend use that. And if you're an artist, if you don't know, make sure you ask your producer if this is completely sample free, because that does make a difference. And at the end of the day, if your song is getting placed with that track that has a sample on it, that comes out of your check. So make sure that you have that taken care of.